Welcome to Make It Make Sense. I'm Coach Ann Ash.
I'm Coach T, and we're some fans that know something.
And see, today we're going to dive into a couple sports topics. We're pretty much taking our experience not only as players, coaches, and parents of athletes and just diving in from, sports from that beginning level all the way to the pro level where, again, we're fans that know some.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay, what we got?
Browns, Steelers. Obviously, you see we are the biggest fans ever. So we're going to start with the draft. What should the Browns do first in this year's draft?
Well, first and foremost, we should do everything in our power to beat you guys. So, so every move we make, it has to be to beat you guys.
Okay.
All right. So, honestly, when I think about all the different, steps that we can take, clearly when you look at the quarterback position, that's a hot topic for us. You bring in Deshaun Watson. I'm a fan of Deshaun Watson. That was my guy.
Yeah.
It seemed like things were turning around. I think last year in that Ravens game when we had that huge win, but then he got hurt, and then everything just went downhill from there, never recovered. So everyone looks at, okay, we need a quarterback. But to be honest, I don't think the quarterback position is what we should go after this year.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of teams that are really they're coveting those top three, really 6 picks early on. The Browns, if you draft a quarterback, I believe the offensive line is still an issue. So no matter who you get, they're going to struggle behind that offensive line.
Yeah.
I think in this draft, we grab as many assets as possible.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I'm thinking you trade the pick, build up assets, because now you look at the whole situation with, Mile Garrett wanting to trade. That can change the whole dynamic of the team. So honestly, it depends on what's being said in those offices. If we are building for the future, are we building for the now? If you're building for, trying to have a competitive team, but built for the future, I think if you make that trade, you get as many assets as possible.
Absolutely.
And build from there.
Yep.
And when you get those assets, you attack the offensive line with your picks, and then you try to get the talented positions. I think a receiver. If we do keep the pick, I would say you go after Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter, huh? Two-way player. Okay.
Two-way player.
You want the dual threat there.
For sure.
Okay. So how do you think he's going to fit in that aspect? Like, do you think it's more offensive minded then at that point as an asset or defense?
I think it's about the asset.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So people say, well, in the NFL, no one's been able to play, 2 positions. I believe Travis Hunter is something different that we've never seen.
Okay.
And you see from the combine, he's a lot bigger than what people thought, which if you follow Colorado like I do, I already knew that.
Yeah.
You see the talent that he has, being able to play. And again, you're not saying he's going to play the same amount of downs that he did in college. But when you have that level of talent that you can utilize on both ends, you are attacking 2 areas. If you're sold on quarterback, and again, it's not just a Colorado bias that I have, being an honorary buff.
Yeah.
I think you go after Shador. I know there's reports coming out and people are trying to devalue him and, in the combine and him throwing. What people don't understand is there's a lot of talk that happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You get advice on what you should and shouldn't do from teams that are interested in you. And maybe that can be to deter other teams from not pursuing you by not throwing at the draft. A lot of people don't understand there's different things that happen behind the scene. And his dad is Deion Sanders.
Yeah, so the hate's coming.
And he's been around the block.
Yeah.
He knows this process. So if he's going to trust any process, it's going to be the process that his dad lays out. So just to recap, I think you try to get as many assets as possible and attack all those holes. But if you do go and keep the pick, Travis Hunter. If you do go quarterback, I say Shador.
What's your offseason expectations then? So that's pretty solid
Mm-hmm.
thinking. I mean, they should bring you into the front office first of
Hey,
all.
I'm here.
Let you,
Hit me up.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
I'm here.
But yeah, what are your offseason expectations for the Browns?
To be honest, when I think about this, I think it's all dependent on the direction of that draft, right? So in the draft, if you build all your assets to try to plug in these holes, the expectation is to get in the playoffs.
Right.
You got to get in the playoffs. You get in the playoffs, you have a shot. Now
Yeah.
you're building towards a winning culture. We can't go into the season as like a complete rebuild, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And punt for more picks. No, you have to bring in talent to win. And then you see, okay, let's see how far we go with the winning. And then, you know, depending on where we fall, then you plug those holes. If you make it all the way to the Super Bowl with what you have, great.
Yeah.
If you don't, I think that's when you start to plug in, and maybe it's another quarterback then, or you might be a linebacker away, stuff like that. So I think it all depends on what plays out. And the one thing I would, end on this with our situation is people talk about, well, Shador and Travis, the conference that they played in, competition, people, they need to end that noise.
Yeah.
Because last I checked, Patrick Mahomes played where?
Texas Tech.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's out the door. D1 is D1 ball.
D1
man.
is D1.
Yeah. So you have to have some talent there to even make it there.
Right.
Considering how many athletes are trying to make it that far anyway.
Right.
So and who can make it that far and don't even hit the field. So
and if that was the
great point,
case,
Silas.
think about this though. How many quarterbacks from Ohio State? It's Ohio State would be like Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's not the case.
Great point. Great point.
So
yeah.
So with that being said, what should you guys do in the draft?
Yeah, so Steelers, here we go. Yeah, you see, I'm Steeler down today, baby. I'm repping.
Okay.
So, with seven picks in the draft, right, we have some leverage there. We have some trade up possibilities, right?
Right.
We're not going to get T. Higgins. I know you saw that he's just been franchise tagged. I was hoping that we would try and make a deal to where we could pull him.
Yeah.
Maybe we go try and solidify a Cam or a Sutton from Denver.
Oh, okay.
In that, but we'll save that for later. But we'll go to the draft. So with the draft, 21st pick, I'm going for a receiver. The main guy that is being talked about right now is Emeka Egbuka. I think he is a tremendous talent, speedy receiver. I don't see him as an outside guy, maybe a slot guy, but we have plenty of slot guys with Terrell Austin, and even we still have Roman Wilson, who did not get to hit the field last year because of injury. So he'll be back this year as well. So, yeah, I mean, you go 3 deep there. So I'm going to pivot from that pick. I like Luther Burden III from Missouri, right? He's a tall, rangy receiver, just like Pickens, can play the outside. You can move him around also in the slot as well. But I think he would be the perfect complement for a Pickens, dual threat receivers. And then you still have that slot receiver. So maybe you use one of those picks or two of those 7th round picks to move up so you can get a Luther Burden and then even still get a Emeka Egbuka, right?
Okay.
I wanted to see them bring back Harris. I got my Harris shirt on under here.
Okay.
1,000-yard back.
Yeah.
Each one of his seasons so far. I have to admit, I did not like that pick at first, but he's proven. He's proven, man. And I wanted to see them do right by him. But if we do not bring him back, I would like us to target a guy like Ollie Gordon, who's the same body type. If we're going to be a run-heavy offense, we need a back that's going to be durable. And I see Ollie Gordon III from Oklahoma State, big back, the Travis, Henry type back with a lot of elusiveness and you bring back Warren. You re-sign to Warren, and then you move to maybe plug in some of those defensive line holes later on in the draft, late draft, with those picks. I know we have a quarterback situation.
I was going to ask you that.
Quarterback situations.
Like what's going on there?
I do like Quinn Ewers from Texas.
So you're saying draft a quarterback?
I'm saying draft a quarterback, and this is why, because you're guaranteed to either bring back Wilson or Fields, right?
Okay.
I don't want Wilson. Let's make that clear. We do not want Wilson in Pittsburgh, all right? Bring Fields back. Guy started 4-2. He was unjustly benched mid-season. I know we brought Russell Wilson in to kind of be that leader that's been to the Super Bowl, that kind of, that type of leader in your locker room. But he did not get the job done. We still did not win the playoff game, and the ship sank, in my opinion. He kept it afloat when we were off that high where Justin led us to 4-2. But I just saw some things, the decline. He's not what he used to be. And some of those decisions were I'm like.
And it's funny you say that because I was going to ask, with those decisions, should you guys look at a coaching change in the Steelers organization? I know that's a hot topic because obviously, I'll let you just answer that.
Yeah, I'll answer that. So, with the whole Tomlin, I love Tomlin. Tomlin came in and took over for Cowher, and Cowher basically left the organization in good hands. I felt, he took that team that Cowher built. I will admit that, and won the Super Bowl that following year, and we're thankful for that. But if you're going to have a statement of the standard is the standard, the standard was to always, when you come to the Steelers, have a shot at the Super Bowl. Right. We have not won a playoff game in some years. So if you're not gonna be standard is the standard, then yes, the standard needs to shift to a new coach, right? Yeah. And it's just part of the business. We're in the business of winning. So if you're not, you can win and have seasons that are counted as non-losing seasons all you want, but the main goal is to get to the dance. So if you can't get us over that hump, you could be the player's coach and all of that, Right. But how much loyalty is too much loyalty, right? You have to know that's part of being a owner, right? And being in business, you have to know when change is good and change is not always bad, so to speak. I
agree, because I think at some point it just seems like mediocrity within the organization, like that having an 8-8 season for you guys, getting old
for sure.
You know what I mean?
And I think that is the heart.
It's kind of like when I talk to like you and other fans, it's like, when you hear, we have another winning season, but like, it's not really a winning season just because we,
make the
So
I agree, man. So I'm all for the changes, and it's not just at the head coach level. I just feel like to piggyback on that, it's at every level: offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. These defensive coordinator has not evolved with the game. Yeah, so
sometimes you need that new voice too.
You need that,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You need a new voice to kind of
change the culture or whatever. So there was a time when people wanted to come and play for the Steelers, and you knew the reason why you were coming, because you knew every year you were going to be in the playoffs and have a shot. Right. But I think we've lost some of that. Yeah. So, and we'll continue to beat the Browns, of course. But we're always happy with that. Not to slight you guys, but I'm looking for this season to be the season that we absolutely change the tone. We'll set the tone and get some offense in here that can help re-sign Justin Fields. Please, I know Art Rooney, if you're listening, Coach Tomlin, if you're listening, Fields is our guy, and this is your number one Steeler fan talking to you. So please re-sign Fields.
You know what? I hear all that.
Yeah,
I hear that. And you guys have a different quarterback situation than us. The one thing I would say, I was very disappointed in how the fans treated Deshaun during that injury.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I know when he things would have been different. Again, going back to that Ravens game now 2 seasons ago, he was, had a great run, and then the fans felt hope. We had a winning season. I think at that point, it's unfortunate, but that point, if he stayed healthy and continue to play, I don't think you would have the same, like, I don't want to use the word hatred, but just not being satisfied as fans towards Deshaun Watson.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I think because of that injury, it opened up the gates for people to have that frustration, because then when you come into the season and you still don't play well, we know it was offensive line issues. But again, when you have that type of contract, whether it's realistic or not, people expect you, which you should expect him to play well. But there were more issues that got in the way of him playing well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not, of course, he made some bad plays. I'm not saying that before anybody say, hey, it was all him. He hold responsibility as well. But if you are being real and taking away the Deshaun Watson hate, that offensive line was trash.
Oh yeah.
It was trash. You couldn't really do anything, and he was trying to play. I mean, you're mixing centers playing guards playing tackle. I mean, it was bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that set us back, because that position is so important, that now I felt if we had that solidified and now we're moving in, plugging these holes, we're good. But now that's a issue for us. So more to come.
Yeah.
I think we got to talk a lot about
absolutely. Yeah. The
post-draft.
The tampering period, I think, starts Monday. So we're going to be in full swing starting Monday. So it's going to be a lot of movement. But let's pivot. I want to pivot to Cavs and Lakers, man. And I want to pivot there because I know that you recently did a short, and it hit the mark. It absolutely hit the mark, man, on that short where you were talking about when you broke the trade for Doncic to the Lakers.
Oh yeah.
So I brought my props here, man. You pick which one you want to talk about first, man. I like the Cavs and what they're doing right now, but I want to dive into the Lakers first, man. Let's dive into the Lakers, man, and talk about that dynamic duo that they've just recently constructed out there in LA.
So the biggest thing that when this trade first took place, a lot of people said it won't work because they're both ball dominant. The one thing I had to remind people, and I mentioned on the short, was this. LeBron James has always played with and had success with ball dominant players. And they were mainly scorers. So you look at Dwayne Wade, you look at Kyrie.
Yep.
These guys were ball dominant to score. And that's what he wants, because LeBron is smart enough and good enough to get his shots whenever he can, but he's also a talented facilitator.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it always worked. With Luka, is actually, he plays very similar to LeBron, where he's also a scorer and a facilitator. So now you give LeBron James the opportunity to reverse roles. He's smart enough to pick and choose his spots. Now he doesn't have to use all his energy facilitating, running the point. You got Luka, who can not only do that, he can find other people open.
Yeah.
And now you don't really miss too much when LeBron is not the facilitator, because now he can do other things. He can score in the post. He can get his 3-point. He can play off of Luka. Mid-range, long range. And then when you put Luka in the past, when LeBron was facilitating, you take him out, you don't really have that facilitator. You're waiting for someone to just pick up the pace and score. And if they're not, you struggle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then when he comes back and he's getting his offense on, but also getting other people involved, now you have more success. You're having a lot of successes because now when Luka is not the facilitator, keeping everything involved, LeBron can do it now.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to do it for the entirety of the game. He can do it in spurts And then when you look at LeBron and Anthony Davis plays inside, LeBron outside. Anthony Davis has some outside game as well. But him being so dominant inside, you're really cluttering where LeBron can really thrive, and then inside as well, slashing, driving, mid range.
Yeah.
They had a lot of success when LeBron is hitting his 3-point shot. Now it's more, it's more, it's a variety of how he can attack, and I think that's a compliment by not having such a dominant presence in the middle with Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
On a perimeter, it opens it up. Now the other guys can play defense. You got Jackson Hayes is having some of his best games now because he can get lobs. He can play defense. And you take away so much clutter in the middle. So that's why it's working. And then you see LeBron is like rejuvenated. He knows, like, man, I got a dog with me that can do all these other things. So that's the reason why I see the team, the Lakers, having a lot of success. And then when I go to the Cavs, let me stay. I'm gonna ask you first before I go to the Cavs.
Yeah.
You give me your thought on the Lakers.
Yeah, man. So they look really good, man. I'm one of the ones that didn't think it would work, and I just felt like over in Dallas that Luka, there was a lot of pressure on him, right? And I didn't know how he would transition and be able to relinquish some of that pressure and not have as much on him. I thought he might shy away because of LeBron and who he is and how he's respected.
Yeah.
But no, he came in firing all cylinders,
he's
man.
A beast.
And
he's a beast.
And it seems like they play off of each other well, just like you mentioned, in that LeBron seems poised to take a backseat a little bit.
That's what he wanted to do. He was trying to have AD do it.
And that he's comfortable in knowing that the Lakers are in good hands once he decides to walk away, you know what I mean? And he's definitely like, hey, the championship is in sight now, because I didn't know before. We had some pieces, but I'm not sure if the young guys are ready. But bringing Doncic in, I see that it's giving confidence to the younger guys too.
Oh yeah,
so the
Austin
younger guys,
Reeves
all of their play has lifted up. And I'm in awe of what's going on. So
LeBron's gonna play about 2-3 more years.
Yeah, I believe he'll play some more too. Especially when they get to the finals again, because I thought for sure, since we have the Cavs up, that the Cavs in over there in OKC, we're going to give them a run for their money. Before Doncic, but I can't see anybody beating them right now in a 7-game series.
It's my finals right here. These two right here.
Yeah, man. So I just think they're looking really good, man. And we'll pivot over to the Cavs. And for me, it's just how the remnants of LeBron has suddenly reawakened in Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
So you still have remnants like Tristan Thompson from those teams is still on the Cavs team, and it seems like, with Donovan Mitchell coming in and bringing his swag, and you have your Jared Allen. Those guys, man, they have inside, outside game guys that can come off the bench, hit the 3-point.
They have everything.
They have everything you need, man. Well balanced, exactly. So, man, it's going to be interesting. I don't know where it came from all of a sudden. I do know that Cleveland has been able to, attract some really good players lately, but this was unexpected this season, man. For them to be as good as they are, the bench is deep. There's no worries, man. In my eyes, that they're poised to make a run in the East also. So Boston,
for sure.
Boston.
They're top team in the East right now, and when you think about it, see the Cavs right now are to me showing the future of this new second apron. The second apron in the NBA, you get a heavy tax when you add that third star.
Okay.
So a lot of teams are they're hesitant to go that route because of you start to hit that apron.
Yeah.
The Cavs have balanced this is good GM, this is good, behind the scenes, skills development, balancing your books, balancing your budget. They have a very good team
Yeah.
with the direction that I think the NBA is starting to go as far as, okay, teams are building teams around a maximum of like 2 max stars and not going the 3-star route where we were going for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we are seeing that because they're extremely deep.
Yeah.
They have defense, they have size, they have 3-and-D, they have scores. The question is, in the playoffs, when teams are scouting you and they know exactly what you are going to do, how do they adjust? How do they step to the plate? That's going to be the question because it is a different level of playing. I mean, we remember last year, OKC being, the top seed, and you have a team like Dallas at the time come out of the West and from a 5th seed all the way to the final.
Yeah.
So the game does change when you get to the playoffs, but I do believe at the same time though, the type of success that the Cavs are having, I don't think it's just regular season success.
Yeah.
Only time will tell.
Right.
But
this
is how cool of a story would that be? LeBron in LA playing the Cavs in the finals.
Yeah.
Man, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I want to see it as well.
That's what I want to see.
That looks good, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's pivot again, man. We'll pivot to the aftermath.
Okay.
Gervonta Tank Davis.
Okay.
What happened in this fight, man? Where do they go from here?
Yeah.
I don't want to analyze too much because people have analyzed this fight and gave their opinions, and we all know people have bad nights. You can't be 100% every night. But where do you think both of them go? Tank first and Roach. Where do they go? What's the aftermath of this fight?
Okay, so first, I would say with Tank, this is an example of, when fighters, especially fans, and, we look at Lamont Roach, we didn't think too much of of that as a choice, right? Of him fighting from a star standpoint, him fighting another star.
Yeah.
I still stand firm that I felt the fight for him that everyone wants to see is Shakur, right? But I think from here, where we go, is understanding that Lamont Roach is a good fighter.
Oh, yeah, he's the truth.
He's a really good fighter, and we have another guy that we need to put some respect on his name and throw him in the conversation of, okay, who do you fight?
Yeah.
If I'm him, I go and make the fight with Shakur. Just jump right over Tank.
Yeah.
If Tank is not willing to make that fight, fight Shakur. And then I think with Shakur, if he fight Roach, and let's say it's a completely different outcome, right?
Yeah.
Now that puts the pressure on Tank, right? Because now you got these two guys. Lamont Roach now has a name. He needs to take advantage of that name, right?
Right, yeah.
Go ahead and make the fight with Shakur.
Yeah.
And I think Tank comes from that cloth of people blame, in a bad way, the undefeated record.
Yeah.
People saw Floyd go undefeated. And again, we talked about this. He had some really good fights.
Yeah.
But Tank, his age, they saw he grew up with that watching Broner, Mayweather, and everyone watched how Mayweather reached the pinnacle of being undefeated.
Yeah.
I think just like fads and everything, whether it's sports, whether it's music, right? Things change. People went on that fad with I have to be undefeated, but now with social media and the way the fans are getting fed up with boxing, not seeing the fights. You can be a star by just fighting good fights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether
absolutely.
you take an L or not.
Right.
Just fight a good fight and be entertaining, and the fans will support you.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we go. Roach should go after Shakur, or Tank. Honestly, you're taking a lot of heat from being in a tough fight with Roach. I know it's not the best business decision to do the rematch, but you can, if you did that rematch and then you dominate him, now you silence everything.
Yeah.
You can only go that route or directly to Shakur. You can't go anywhere else if you're Tank.
I definitely agree with that. I was going to say save that rematch for your last fight. I know Tank has been talking about I want to retire. You know, my heart's not in it too much. I don't know what's going on with him in his corner.
Yeah, that was odd.
I thought it was really odd,
that
that Calvin wasn't the
seemed like
the
he
front
was,
man.
Yeah, that was odd. Yeah.
But I would like, even though I really don't care to see the rematch right now.
Yeah.
I think Tank should move on. Like we say, they both have a name now. Let's let the chips fall where they may. Later on down the line, you still had a good fight. In my opinion, if Ryan Garcia didn't have that rib injury, that would be an interesting next fight after he fights Rolly. I think he fights Rolly next. But there's that tier. There's Devin Haney. Those guys. There's Shakur Stevenson. There's Roach now. There's Tank.
Yeah.
Those fights need to happen right in between the rematch, and I think that causes for a bigger buildup rather than seeing it right away.
Yeah.
And that's the reason being is because if you're in the amateurs and you're fighting a guy 2-3 times in the amateurs, and you know each other very well, doesn't necessarily make for a good fight. I saw a lot of hesitation there where guys were studying and doing more, trying to figure out their opponent rather than fighting. Yeah. And that's not entertaining to me, so to speak. But there were some good points in that fight. But you make a great point, man. I say Roach has a name, Tank has a name. Let's start making those fights happen where the best fight the best. And, there probably won't be another Floyd Mayweather where you go 50-0. My guy, I do like my guy, Terrence Crawford. He's undefeated right now, but he's trying to move up and fight Canelo. I don't know if that's the best move, but I certainly think he has the skills to pay the bill. Roach and definitely impressed me. He shows why he belonged. And Tank, he just had a bad night, and it cost him. I do think he lost the fight, but I say save the rematch for later on down the line and fight some of those other top fighters, and then meet down the road.
I see that. That makes sense too, and I do think with that whole the rematch right away, you have to pivot to like a bigger fight though. Yeah. And I think honestly, this may have shown like why he hasn't fought Shakur. Because Shakur is he's a tactician. Yeah. And he's very smart. Yep. And Roach was showing, that approach, understanding, Tank. And I think Shakur, man, I just wish his team would promote him as a tactician because he deserves to be in that spotlight. Yeah. As well.
I love his style.
I love his style. Yeah. I just don't think they promote because some of his fights, it's not as entertaining for a lot of the casual fans. Even like people who like boxing, you want to see like him in some wars and things of that nature. But I think if they were promoting it, because people say, well, he fight like Floyd. Floyd was. It's similar, but it's not the same. Not the same. Yeah. And Floyd had a good stretch of being more of an aggressive fighter. Yeah. Then he came up with the 24/7 that built the fan base behind him, to see, people marvel around his defense. Yeah. So it was entertaining for a while, but just like I said, fads kind of change, right? Yeah. Music, everything, people will piggyback and mimic it for a while. In sports, when something's working, you win by having a shooting guard with Jordan. How many teams were drafting, shooting guards? Yeah. You win by having a big. How many teams were drafting big? You win by having 3-point shooting. In boxing, I think everything has changed, which we do have a big change coming.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of changes, and I like that point because you have two powerhouses like now merging to make a new boxing league, right? You got Turk Alashik, Dana White, powerhouse, boxing league. Do you understand like the magnitude of what that's huge, man?
That's
because
huge. That's huge.
As you touched on Floyd Mayweather and how he kept his O, and fought, early on, he fought some of the best, but he had issues where people didn't want to fight him.
Right.
I think this takes that out of the equation.
Oh, yeah.
One, you have the marketing genius. Two, you have the man behind the money.
Yeah.
Money's not an issue anymore.
Right.
The best can fight the best with no issues.
Oh, yeah.
All you have to do is sign on the dotted line. Give me your take on this, man.
First of all, I've been waiting for Dana White to get involved with boxing, just for how he put together matches for the UFC.
Yep.
And I think now it makes business sense for him.
Yep.
With this partnership. And I can see this is the change that boxing needed, because boxing, with all the additional promoters that you have in the game, and everyone had their own niche as far as, okay, I'm going to create this belt that really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Now you're fighting for this belt.
Yeah.
And you need to be undefeated to boost your brand, yada, yada, yada. No, Dana White, he's about making like the best fights. And I think the timing, everything is about timing.
Yeah.
The fans are fed up with boxing.
Yes.
You got HBO, then fell off the map. Showtime, then fell off the map. I mean, hell, now you don't even know where to watch the fight. Do you watch it on DAZN?
Do you
watch it on this app?
Yeah.
You got Amazon. You got this. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Respectfully, I don't care for a lot of the stuff that's on some of the apps. Like, sometime I'll get DAZN depending on the fight. No shade.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, one central location of, okay, this is almost like a league of the best fighting the best.
Yeah.
And now that you bring the money into the equation,
the
rest is history. So that my take is, it's exactly what boxing needed, and any fight they put together, I'm supporting, just so we can go to that next direction.
I'm supporting also, and I just see it as such a big event now, because now you can cross, tournament, right? You have that the fight card may not need to be boring. You got to admit some of those fight cards are boring in the beginning in boxing. Now you have. Your pre-card could be the UFC main events, and then you move into the boxing main events. There's so much that can happen,
endless.
man. I'm interested to see how that's going to unfold, man.
Yeah, me too.
So
man.
This is definitely great conversation, a good thing.
Oh yeah,
man, I'm excited. We're huge boxing fans anyway in MMA, so I can't wait to see it, man.
Well, you know what? That's a perfect way to end this segment.
Yeah.
Again, thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Make it make sense. Coach Ann Ash.
Coach T. Subscribe.